Denise. Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. Denise. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Hey there, everyone. Happy Friday. For some of you, happy Saturday. This is a late edition of Speak Now Pro Wrestling because we had so much wrestling to watch here tonight, and there's still plenty more to actually check out. So for today's show, I am going to be covering SmackDown, Rampage, and Battle of the Belts for here, and we're going to get that all down in our normal amount of time. So we're going to make this work, everyone. As soon as I'm done with the show, I'm going to take a quick shower, and then I got to start watching Bound for Glory because I'm recapping that show tomorrow on Fightful. So I feel like there's just so much happening right now. So we're going to go ahead and jump into SmackDown, and we're going to, for all the shows, we're going to go into the highlights and really talk about the most necessary things, which, to be honest, we had a lot of good stuff today. Like, today feels pretty like newsworthy. Even SmackDown is giving us a whole lot to talk about and a whole lot to go over. So there's going to be so much. But before we get started, thank you guys so much to all my night owls who are watching live. Thank you so much for being here. To those of you who watch the replay of this later on, thank you very much. If you do want to get your questions, comments, or statements read on the show at any time throughout this entire podcast, if you want to help support me, keep me going, keep me funded, F4W Online does allow me to keep 100% of the proceeds that I make from super chats after YouTube takes their cut. So you guys are more than welcome to help support me and also get your comments read here on the show. But you guys already know that drill. So I'm going to go ahead and kick things off with our first super chat of the day. Thank you so much to Steven for getting the podcast party started, saying late night podcast party, here we come. You know, here's the thing, guys, like nights like these are kind of cool because there's so much going on and I don't feel like I have to come out here and, you know, try to fill a 1 hour slot. But at the same time, it's like, why do all these companies put their shows on the exact same night? I mean, granted, SmackDown and Rampage are already on the same night. I'm just feeling the extra pressure with Impact on as well. But let's go ahead and get right into SmackDown, everybody, because I actually thought that this episode of SmackDown, granted, it was the season premiere, but I legitimately thought that this episode of SmackDown was possibly one of the best SmackDown episodes that we have had in quite some time. If you have been coming into my Friday shows, you know that I've been, there have been certain weeks where I'm like, it's a little hit or miss. Prior to that, when Vince was still in charge, it was a whole other story. But this episode to me felt like the one that actually gave me the most hope in terms of just like feeling excited about SmackDown, feeling like if I don't, because here's the thing. You know, obviously Triple H has been running creative for a while now, but there were still episodes of SmackDown where I legitimately felt like if you missed a show, okay, fine, you can watch the highlights and you can stay up to date with all of that and you'd still be okay. This was the first episode where I felt like, damn, had I actually missed today's show, I would have missed quite a bit. So I like shows like this that make me feel like, you know what, Denise, good job. You tuned in, you know, get me those rewards. Sam Pyboon sends in a super chat saying, hey, Denise, will you do live reaction stream for tomorrow's WWE Extreme Rules? Yes. So tomorrow I will be doing on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo, a Extreme Rules watch along. The last watch along that I did was for Hell in a Cell, and it got some pretty good like feedback. People in the chat had a good time. So if you guys just want somebody to hang out with and literally super chill, hang out. It's not like a podcast. It's just a hangout. So if you guys want to come check that out, I think you guys might have a good time. But thank you so much to Sam for checking in and finding all of this out. All right. So this leads me into the opening of SmackDown where we had Triple H come out. And, you know, I remember when, you know, this whole thing first started where it was announced that Triple H was going to be taking over creative. I think I remember like that SmackDown I was kind of hoping for like him or Stephanie or someone to like come out and do something, right? And I don't think there was anything that particular night. I think it was until the following week when we had Stephanie. I'm trying to remember the timeline there, but whatever's. This was Triple H opening the show, and they keep it very brief whenever they do this like opening. And Triple H kept it very brief. So he basically went out there and he basically said, there will come a time when you think that everything is finished, but it's just the beginning. And then he tells everybody, welcome to Fox and welcome to the season premiere of Friday Night SmackDown. So this was brief, but it said a lot because all of us know that, God, like the last year was really chaotic for Triple H. I mean, NXT went in an entirely new direction when they switched to NXT 2.0. His life was in danger with the heart situation and everything that occurred with that. And there was just so much. He had to retire at WrestleMania. And, we had that pretty emotional moment. And that was emotional too, because that obviously wasn't on his terms, having to retire in that manner. And now fast forward X amount of months later, and here we are, Triple H is running creative. And, now he's out there making decisions. We're seeing so many people come back, whether it be, wrestlers, whether it be broadcasters, or even people behind the scenes that we've been seeing him bring back. And so now it's like, the power is in his hands. So I thought that the intro for the season premiere, it felt really, really fairly good. And this leads me into the changes that we're seeing for SmackDown. And one of those big changes, and this is not just for SmackDown, but across the board, is we are seeing these changes with the commentary teams and also the announcing teams. So it's been a couple of weeks now that Pat McAfee has been done, at least for now, with WWE since he's doing the College Game Day stuff. And so we were really not sure like what was going to be going down with the commentary team until they officially made this announcement that the new SmackDown team is Michael Cole and Wade Barrett. So here's the thing about this. So Michael Cole and Pat McAfee legitimately had something going that was so fun. It felt like for the first time ever, we were starting to see the real Michael Cole. Like Vince McMahon was no longer in his ear. And then you had Pat McAfee, who was like, really just bringing out the fun side in Michael Cole. And Pat McAfee was like a breath of fresh air where it didn't feel so serious. And here we are doing commentary and we got to be like this. No, he was fun and exciting. And he brought that out in Michael Cole as well. So we had a really nice dynamic there. So I got to tell you, I do miss Pat McAfee. I know he says he's still going to come back down the line, this and that. I do miss Pat McAfee, but whether or not he does come back, we'll have to wait and see, right? But with that being said, Wade Barrett has been doing commentary on NXT with Vic Joseph. And here's the thing, like Wade Barrett is not bad at all in commentary. He's not bad. He's just polar opposite. Well, I wouldn't say polar opposite. He's just different from Pat McAfee, but so is everybody else, right? He's good on commentary on NXT. I just think that the NXT product is pretty different from the SmackDown product. So with that being said, I do think that Wade Barrett is a pretty good pairing with Michael Cole. I'm legitimately looking forward to seeing how they are moving forward. I thought tonight they did a pretty good job. It was their first night together, so for the most part, I thought it was pretty damn solid tonight. I thought it was fine. We got more people saying that they thought that, and a lot of people are saying that Wade Barrett is temporary right now, but that's, until we legitimately see, until Pat McAfee is sitting right at that seat, like we still don't know for sure. I know he said that he would be back, but until he's sitting in that seat, that's when I'll start, getting excited about it. But it is hard to, I enjoyed Wade like a bunch of people are saying here today, but it is hard to fill the shoes of Pat McAfee because he brought something very different to the commentary team, just something a little bit more casual, But either way, good job with Michael Cole and Wade Barrett here tonight. I thought they did a pretty decent job, especially for it being their first night together. But let's get us into the Bloodline and Logan Paul, and that is basically our opening segment. So we have the bloodline out there. Everybody's there. The Usos, Sammy, Solo Sikoa, Roman, Paul, and Logan Paul comes out there. And basically, this is Paul Heyman kind of, just trying to bury Logan Paul, right? So he basically starts comparing Paul to this generation's, he says, Mr. T and Cyndi Lauper. He said that he mentions like a bunch of different people. He even at one point compares them to the Kardashians. And I'm like, okay, all right, we'll see where we're going with here. And then he brings up other internet personalities as well. He brings up Ben Shapiro. He brings up Jordan Peterson. He brings up Andrew Tate. So he brings up quite a few people, but he says that none of them had the guts to step up to Roman Reigns. And he basically just promises that Roman Reigns is going to squash Logan Paul at Saudi Arabia. And then after this, Logan Paul finally speaks. He gets booed by the crowd tremendously. And this basically, he says one major thing that kind of creeps under the bloodline skin, because he basically says that he asked Paul Heyman if Roman Reigns is a tribal chief or if it's Jey Uso. And this kind of leads a little bit of a somewhat confrontation between Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. But Sami Zayn is kind of like the one making sure that everything is peaceful and whatnot. So he tries to get everybody back on the same page. And so Logan Paul is trying to work his magic and kind of tear them apart with all of that. But in the end, after this, we have Sami Zayn just curse out Logan Paul. He calls him a number 2, says that he's basically shit, and he says he's like a shit stain mark, this and that. So he goes off for a bit. Finally, Logan Paul leaves, and the bloodline's just cackling. Later on in the night, we do see some backstage stuff with the bloodline that you can tell they're not going to be friends for long. They're not going to be on the same page for long, as we've known or we could predict. And basically we had Sami Zayn call Jey Uso a hothead, and Roman Reigns agrees. And then Roman Reigns says he's done with this BS and he's going to let Sami Zayn be the one to kind of handle this problem. So afterwards, later on, they run into the New Day. It's the Usos and Sami Zayn. They run into the New Day, and the New Day starts mocking them, starts mocking the Usos for having to listen to Sami Zayn. And then Xavier Woods has a really hilarious line, because he says that Sami Zayn is not the stepdaddy, but he is the dad that stepped up. So he was throwing jabs, obviously getting under the skin of the Usos. So I really liked all of this. This story has legitimately been the best thing going on SmackDown right now. You can even argue that, in both rosters, this was really the best thing going on in SmackDown right now. But they're just continuing this. I love to see this, because you just don't know what the downfall is eventually going to be looking like. Like, what is the pivotal moment that we're going to see either Sami Zayn turn on the bloodline or see the bloodline turn on Sami Zayn. So it's going to be some good stuff there. We got a super chat here from Steven, who points out Sami Zayn's dancing. I don't even know if I would call that dancing. It looked like maybe he just had too much, I don't know what. But I love Sami Zayn, and I love when he dances, even though I don't even know if I should call that dancing. Thank you so much to Steven for sending in this super chat as well. Will McLean says, feels like the drama and the bloodline is leading to The Rock. We are God. We're still October, November, December, January, February, March, April. God, we're still 7 months away from WrestleMania in Los Angeles, and we're still figuring out whether or not we're going to see The Rock. Who the hell knows? It could, but we don't know for sure. We got people saying that Sami Zayn is the best thing going in wrestling right now. Burnaby says Sami's pretty annoying, but he seems loyal to them. But here's the thing, though. Sami Zayn's annoyance, that's the charm, though. That's the charm. That's who Sami Zayn is. I freaking love it, man. Let's see what else we got here. Zeno Hour says, let the record show that Logan Paul is the root cause of Sami or Jay getting kicked out. Yeah, he was definitely the cavity in this, trying to trying to manipulate them. And it kind of worked a little bit because we did see that in the opening of this. But this one's good stuff here. Jey Uso's just at another level where he's getting like beyond frustrated with Sami Zayn. So that's obviously really funny to see. All right, let's move on from here because we still got so much to talk about. Bray Wyatt. So tomorrow is the big day. Extreme Rules, all of the Easter eggs, all of the connect the dots, all of the theories are pointing to not it only being Bray Wyatt. If at this point, let's just say that tomorrow, Bray Wyatt, it's not Bray Wyatt and it's I don't know who, but let's just say it's not Bray Wyatt. My God, I do not want to see what that would be like because it would be like a disaster. Like, let's be real. It would be a disaster if it's not Bray Wyatt. But anyway, so it's got to be Bray Wyatt. We know it's Bray Wyatt. There's a million clues there, all leading to Bray Wyatt. Anyway, so they had the vignettes that they aired the first thing that they had on the show was a QR code that they very cleverly camouflaged. I don't know if camouflage is the right word, but they hid it in Triple H's microphone when he did that opening on SmackDown. I didn't even notice the QR code. I saw it on Twitter when WWE shared it. I was like, wait, there was a QR code? I didn't even see it. But finally, I was able to scan it, watch the little video, and basically you have to slow it because it's the three little pigs, right? But when you slow it down and you like pause it, the glitches are where you get the image reveals, right? And so that's when they actually had the little piggy, the one that we've been seeing for the Firefly Funhouse and all of this that we've been seeing with Bray Wyatt. That's when he pops up there at like the 13-second mark. And that was just like another clue on top of the other clues with everything that they've been doing. Then they also aired twice, I believe, unless I missed it an additional time, but twice on the show, they aired a separate video package. And this was like a little white rabbit falling down like a purple X. Then there's like something beaming on it. It's a whole thing. And it basically ends with the date of tomorrow, the October 8th date. And it says, feed your head in multiple languages, all of this other stuff. So the point is, we should get excited because it looks like, especially if you're a big Bray Wyatt fan, or you've been really following closely all these QR codes and putting all these clues together and having fun with this puzzle thing, it looks like tomorrow is the day that Bray Wyatt should be returning to WWE, unless they like decide to do something else. I don't know, but that's what this is all pointing towards. So people have really been enjoying all of this little Easter egg stuff. So that's good. That's really good. And let's see what else we got. Thank you, Huskus. Is Huskus the name of the pig boy? I don't think I ever knew did I know his name? I don't even know if I knew that. Or maybe I just forgot. Who knows? All right, but there you go. Bray Wyatt, hopefully coming tomorrow. And if it's not Bray Wyatt, get ready for like massive, I don't even know what, drama. All right, so Solo Sikoa, Ricochet have a match. Solo wins. I want to move on from this and go right into the debut of a faction that we have been waiting for quite some time now. So Hit Row comes out and they're about to do their thing, but they are jumped. They are jumped by three men in their mask, and it wasn't even like a mask that you would think, oh, it's not Legado del Fantasma. You knew right away that it was Legado del Fantasma. You knew it right away. So they come out and they attack Hit Row, and then Zelina Vega comes out, and this was already pretty much reported earlier on in the day. I think it was a PW Insider, or it might have been Fightful Select that put this out there about Zelina being the replacement for Elektra Lopez. And so Zelina Vega comes out there. She's got a brand new look. She's got this platinum blonde hair. I love it. I think if any time called for a new look, it's like you're coming into this new faction. You're doing something new. Why not have a new look, to really just, refresh things? Or it feels like, it feels really good. All I'm going to say is this. So I have been waiting for Legado del Fantasma to officially make their main roster debut. We already knew that they were going to go to the main roster. The whole story with NXT and how they did it, we knew that Santos Escobar was going to be moving on to the main roster, and then he came back and he got his guys, Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde, and he got them to basically go with him and just leave. They just left NXT, and now here they are. I do feel bad for Elektra Lopez because Elektra Lopez did a great job on NXT. She got the roll down really well. She had the presence. The fashion that she wore was not only great, like it looked great, but it also fit the character. She was doing the whole like Hefa thing, and she was going out there with the big hats, and she had really great facial expressions. I can't do them, but she had some great facial expressions. I thought that her like chemistry with Santos Escobar and the rest of the guys was really great. So I do kind of feel bad that she didn't get rewarded and called up to the main roster to have her moment with her guys. So I do feel bad for her in that sense. I do. But Zelina Vega fits the role very, very well. I think she's going to do a great job. Obviously, everything that we saw her do with Andrade in the past, we know that she's going to do a freaking good job. So they finally found something that I think works for Zelina very well, because for the most part, Zelina, since her return to WWE, she won the Queen's Crown tournament. And then after that, she was teaming with Carmella for a bit, but there really wasn't anything that I think was really, showing her strong suits, right? Like she could do more, because we'd seen her do more in the past with Andrade. We had seen her do more in that sense. So I'm happy that she's in this role. I think she's going to do it very well with the mic work that she has. She has the presence, she has the fashion, because for this type of thing, like one of the things that we see that is really well with Legado is that they do this really great presentation. Like they come out there and they freaking present themselves like stars. So the whole presentation of Legado del Fantasma with Zelina Vega, I think it's going to work really well. I did have a lot of people on Twitter basically saying, why couldn't you bring up Elektra Lopez as well? A lot of people were even suggesting having Elektra Lopez and Zelina Vega team up together. I saw quite a few people put that in my Twitter feed. So given that a lot of people mentioned it, I'm like, that would have also been great, because that we need more female tag teams to fill out the roster a little bit. But in a group like this, you usually have one female who's like, doing the maneuvering and, basically cutting the cheese and okay, so never mind. I can't, I was going to say a saying, but it doesn't translate, so never mind. She's the one who is basically in charge, right? So it would have been different to have Elektra Lopez and Zelina in the group together, but it could have, I'm not even gonna say, I think it could have worked, but at some point you would end up telling the story that, there would have to be this friction between Zelina and Elektra Lopez, which there could have happened too. They could have possibly done something like that, just so that, at least give Elektra Lopez an opportunity, to do what she was doing with Legado del Fantasma on NXT for, the amount of time that she was. Regardless, I'm excited because Santos is going to add so much as a singles competitor, and when he's also teaming up with Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro. But Joaquin and Cruz are also going to basically add a lot as a tag team. And if you haven't been seeing them on NXT, they are a pretty damn good tag team. So if you haven't seen them on NXT, I think you're going to be looking forward to some good surprises with them. So good stuff there all around. Thank you to Cody Santello, who says, I know what you mean. So Nick Grosso sends in a super chat. Thank you so much to Nick for helping support. Nick says, I believe Bray will return tomorrow night, but he won't be alone. I think he comes to the group, the Wyatt Six, but the question is, who's in the group? Kross, Scarlett, Dexter. I think Alexa Bliss is involved too. I don't know if he's gonna come in with a group or do anything like that. I don't know. I legitimately don't know. I think there's gonna be a reaction obviously, regardless whether he comes with or without the group. But if he were to come with the group or, form a group together, it would be awesome. Now, I'm going to be real with you. If Kross and Scarlett decide to team up with Bray and do their thing, I actually think it would benefit them a whole lot because, I've stated my criticisms already about the Kross character. I've talked about that a lot. And I actually wouldn't mind it if he did something with Bray Wyatt. I legitimately would not mind it whatsoever. But I just don't think that's where, at least right now, it doesn't feel like that's where he's at. But we'll see. I don't know. Either way, tomorrow is the day. All right. Thank you so much to Nick Grosso for also sending in the super chat. I appreciate it. All right, so let's continue on from here. We did get a mysterious vignette that aired, and so there's a lot of predictions. Well, not a lot of predictions. There's a big theory that this is Sarah Logan returning with the Viking Raiders because it was basically the back of a person, and the image was not so clear. It was very, very dark, but it did pretty much look like Sarah, and they had like a voiceover, and at first it was the guys, and then afterwards you heard the female voice, and she said, hold on, I have it here. What did she say? She said, "When the gods speak, we listen." And so right away, everybody's like, this is Sarah Logan. She's back. And it feels like that pretty much is her. I don't remember what her voice sounds like, so I couldn't even match up the voices. It was more so of the actual getup that was like, okay, this is Sarah, right? For those of you who are wondering, like, what the hell's been going on with her, if you just need a refresher, she was one of the people that was released from the company during the April 2020 cuts that they did, those budget cuts that they did for COVID. She was one of those people that was impacted by that. And then literally a couple months later that same year, she said she was going to be done with wrestling. She said she was going to retire, and that was it. But then afterwards, she did make an appearance at the Royal Rumble. I forget what number she was, but she did make an appearance at the Royal Rumble. And then afterwards, she did have like a small cameo on SmackDown. And then the last that we saw of her, she was part of Control Your Narrative. And I think she had, I don't know how many matches. I wasn't following that, but I know she was on Control Your Narrative. So that's what's basically been going down with Sarah. So from the looks of it, she's back. At least from the theories that we saw here. All right, so let's go ahead and see what we got here. We got people saying that they just hope it's Sarah. Someone mentions that Liv even retweeted it. I didn't see that, but okay, that's good. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on from here. After this, we got the Karrion Kross Drew McIntyre segment. The gist of this really is Kross finally got some... finally got a little bit of revenge on Drew McIntyre, because when Drew McIntyre first introduced the strap, he was the one who you really got to use it. And this time we saw Karrion Kross implement it on Drew McIntyre. They needed that. They really needed that. That was one of my criticisms when this whole thing happened, was they didn't make Karrion Kross look like, I don't know, they just didn't make him look very strong in that. It didn't go very well. I don't think that was the night that they did the fireball thing. It just didn't really work, but it's fine. They gave them a little bit of more edge tonight, especially heading into their match at Extreme Rules. All right, we got two more things to talk about. The other thing that we got for SmackDown is that Max Dupri is no longer Max Dupri. We saw last week that he was no longer going to be part of Maximum Male Models, and then today he announced that he is back to being LA Knight. And it's funny because there was a lot of people that were like, yes, LA Knight, the name is back, LA Knight, LA Knight, LA Knight. But here's the thing, the name still sucks. LA Knight is a terrible name. I hate that name. I actually think Max Dupri, the name, is better, but it's the character, though. People are happy that the character of the LA Knight is back versus the character that we had with Max Dupri. But LA Knight's a terrible name. I honestly wish they would have just given him a whole brand new name, because LA Knight is just, it's not a good name, in my opinion. I know sometimes when you hear something over and over and over again, it starts to sound good, but this still doesn't sound good. It's still the same. I still feel the same way about the LA Knight's name that I did when I first heard it. It's just too goofy. But But the LA Knight character is back, and that is what worked so much better with him. So much better because he's really is great on the mic. He's got a great presence, and the Max Dupri stuff, it was just too silly, too goofy. Glad they separated him from that. It was not necessarily the hottest thing, right? We got Lord Alfred Hayes, who sends in a super chat. Thank you so much to Alfred. He says, Silla Monster calls them the maximum male mid-carders. You know, it's funny. I recall a bunch of people on here trying to make the maximum male models a thing. And I was here each and every single week taking the heat because I said the maximum male models were not great, okay? I knew from the start. Okay, I'm not even going to go off on this anymore because I've gone off on the maximum male model things a million times. But I will never forget that one night where we saw them model the tennis, the golf, I don't even know what sport it was anymore, for like 20 minutes on SmackDown. I will never get those 20 minutes back in my entire life. But just here to say that I was anti-maximum male models from the beginning. But regardless, happy for LA Knight to, you know, get a character that more suits him for the better. Anyways, thank you so much to Alfred. Oh man, guys. Let's see what else we got here. All right, I'm just dying at the chat here. All right, now let's move on to our main event for SmackDown. We had Gunther versus Sheamus for the Intercontinental Championship. And this was obviously a match that when it happened over at Clash at the Castle, that was the match. That was the match. If somebody didn't watch that show and you were to ask me, hey, Denise, what should I watch from that show? That would have been the thing that I recommended. Gunther versus Sheamus ended up being a 5-star match, a phenomenal showcase for both guys. The most memorable thing we got from that night, aside from Drew McIntyre singing karaoke. All right, so afterwards, you know, they've been obviously with the Brawling Brutes and Imperium, they've been doing their thing on SmackDown. I've said this before on numerous shows, but Imperium and the Brawling Brutes have added so much to SmackDown. It's not even funny how much they have added. They've added a lot of quality. They've added interest. They've added to the singles picture. They've added to the trios. Not trios, but to the tag team rather. They've just added so freaking much to that show. I am so I don't want to say obsessed. That sounds too dramatic, but I am so invested in what they've been doing with the Brawling Brutes and Imperium. It ain't even funny, but whatever. So we get Gunther versus Sheamus here tonight, and this was the match that I was legitimately looking forward to, obviously based on their past interactions. And this was a good match. This was a good match. This was a good main event. Obviously, it was nothing like their Clash at the Castle match, but that's different. That was a pay-per-view match, totally different. But this was still really good. Obviously, we get that strike exchange from both guys. We get elbows from Sheamus. Within like 3 minutes of this match, Sheamus turns colors. He's got the red freckly look on his chest. You can see it right away. He hits the white noise on Gunther. At some point, we see Imperium and the Brawling Brutes get involved, and they start going at it with each other on the outside. They did this whole thing where it appeared that Gunther tapped out, but instead he was trying to reach for the rope. So that's the way that the referee essentially took it as him trying to reach for the rope. So I saw a couple people that didn't like that spot. But in the end, we saw Sheamus try to go for the bro kick, but instead Gunther uses the shillelagh, and that is how Gunther is able to get the win by cheating. So he retains, but this was still a freaking kick-ass match. I don't know what to say, guys. I loved it. I love what they're doing with Gunther and Sheamus. They have something going with them so much here. This is exactly what Sheamus needed, I think, to kind of revive him on the roster. And this is exactly what Gunther needed, because I was worried, man, that they were going to drop the ball on Gunther. Obviously, that was pre-Triple H, but I still thought that they were going to drop the ball with Gunther, and they did it. At least what he's been doing with Sheamus has been working so well, because Sheamus is the competitor that can go. Sheamus doesn't give Sheamus gives zero fucks. He's going to go out there and he's going to be hard hitting and not care, and that shines through, and that works very well with Gunther. So good stuff all around. Gunther obviously retains the Intercontinental Championship there. We got a super chat here from Sheldon Jackson. Thank you so much to Sheldon, who says, but it needs to rhyme with Eli Drake. Yeah. But my favorite promo of LA Knights is the shoes of a champion from NWA. Thank you so much to Sheldon for sharing this with us here today. I appreciate you, man. 100 million times over and over. I appreciate you. Thank you, Sheldon. And let's continue on from here, guys, and move on to, that's it. Let's move on to Rampage, everybody. So we got 1 hour of Rampage, and then we're going to go right into Battle of the Belts. So Rampage today had some pretty good stuff. Obviously, all right, because I'm sorry, I'm having to look at this because we went right into Battle of the Belts. So I'm trying to remember what we got in the first hour versus the second hour. It's a blur right now. All right, so we kicked off AEW Rampage with Moxley, Claudio, and Yuta. Also, I might as well say this now. Okay, so rewind, because we need to talk about Jon Moxley really quickly. So obviously you guys saw the news already. It's been all over social media, all over the news cycle, and that is that Jon Moxley has signed a 5-year extension with AEW. He is now going to be doing some coaching and some mentoring, and he's also going to be exclusive to AEW, and like the press release said, it's international partners, New Japan Pro Wrestling. And it also said that so his contract's going to expire in 2027. So this is huge news for AEW. As you guys know, with the whole drama with the Elite and CM Punk, and then the drama with Andrade and with Sammy, it has legitimately been just back-to-back negative publicity for AEW. There's been just too much negative publicity. Let's be real. There's been a lot of negativity, more so than other periods, regarding AEW. And they really needed something to get themselves some good pub. And this was it. Jon Moxley, there's been a lot of like, oh, this person wants to go back to WWE. This person wants to go back to WWE. Not a good look, right? And they really needed this, where Jon Moxley basically is saying, I'm not going back to WWE. I'm signing a 5-year extension here with the company. And I'm also expanding my role to help mentor and coach the young talent so that, this company can grow to its fullest, right? So they really did, this was a huge announcement for AEW, legitimately, because Moxley right now is the guy. He's the guy. And him basically saying, I'm not leaving AEW was, I don't know how else to call it, but it just added a lot to the perception right now of AEW, given all of the drama that feels like it's overtaken everything else, right? So good for Moxley, excited for him, kudos, thumbs up. That was a win for AEW across the board. But now, our opening match, Moxley, Claudio, Yuta against Private Party and Rush. So this was good stuff. This was a really fun opener. Honestly, it was a really, really good stuff. I love Claudio Castagnoli going out there and like literally just getting Isaiah Cassidy with all of his uppercuts that he normally does. So we saw, Claudio Castagnoli go out there and hit all of his, all of his stuff. He did it all. He did it all. But the moment that was the most impressive and most stood out in this match was legitimately he tried to get the big swing on Isaiah Cassidy, but instead Mark Quinn goes in there and he breaks it up, right? For a second, because following that, Claudio ends up getting Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn. He has one swinging. He's swinging one while the other one is on his back. And he is basically showing like his power in doing this. It didn't last very long, but that's okay because it was really impressive just seeing him show his strength and to be able to do that with somebody on his back, a grown man on his back. Like that's a lot to do there. Moxley ends up taking Rush out with the plancha. That was another good stuff. stuff there. Cassidy ends up getting a pop-up uppercut from Claudio, and then finally Yuta ends up blocking the short arm scissors variation on Mark Quinn, and that is how he ends up getting the win for his team, forcing Quinn to tap out. So it was good stuff. Really good opener for Rampage. Now, this next match, I was not a fan of this next match. This was Tony Nese and Josh Woods versus the Varsity Blondes. This match was quick, absolutely nothing special, could have done without it. But this all led to basically what we got afterwards. So first and foremost, I really hate how the Varsity Blondes have been looking. They've been jobbing them out, man, left and right, okay? I have not been liking what they've been doing with the Varsity Blondes. Like, the Varsity Blondes were literally at one point a really popular tag team. I remember seeing, I think it was like a picture or video or something from the AEW Fan Fest, not this past year, but maybe the year before that. And they had apparently like one of the longest lines was the Varsity Blondes. And then, they get Julia Hart taken away. Obviously, for the better. It worked out so much better for Julia Hart to do this whole new gothic character that she's doing with the House of Black. Fine. But it still obviously took away from the act of the Varsity Blondes. I spoke with Brian Pillman Jr. in Chicago for Warrior Wrestling. And in our interview, he kind of teased a little bit of maybe separation from him and Griff Garrison. And I thought that would come maybe a lot sooner, especially with the way that the Varsity Blondes were being booked, but it has still not officially came. However, I think it's going to happen. And at this point, I'm like, the portrayal of the Varsity Blondes has not been great, especially with the way that they're losing to. The way that they lost today, it looks super lame. It made them look super lame, right? So I almost just want them to break them up at this point. And which sucks because I did like the Varsity Blondes together. But at this point, it kind of feels like that's where they're headed. And maybe it might work out for the better. I don't know. But Smart Mark Sterling comes out and he basically says that he trademarked the word varsity, and that the Varsity Blondes can no longer call themselves the Varsity Blondes because now instead Tony Nese and Josh Woods are going to be the Varsity Athletes. And so now the Varsity Blondes are just the Blondes. So I think personally they either need to start making them look like a legitimate tag team again or just break them up. But regardless, I did not care for this entire thing with Tony Nese, Josh Woods, and Varsity Blondes. So yeah, I was out of it here. Billy Ann says Pillman Jr. deserves better. And yes, he does. And I'm going to say why. One of the things why he also deserves better. I remember when he was feuding with MJF and they had their whole storyline that they did. I think it was leading up to Grand Slam, if I remember correctly. And I remember coming on to these shows and literally talking about how the feud between MJF and Brian Pillman Jr. was legitimately some of my favorite stuff that we were seeing on Dynamite during this period of time. I really loved their back and forth. And we've mentioned before how, obviously everybody knows that MJF is great on the microphone. Brian Pillman Jr., he held his own against MJF with all of that, with everything. And I almost feel like that just went it happened, and then that was it, right? Nothing ever happened after that I recall really sticking out in my mind, right? So I personally feel like there was just more that could have been done with the Varsity Blondes. It feels like that was dropped too fast, in my opinion. And I like the Varsity Blondes. I want to root for the Varsity Blondes. I feel like I'm a bigger Varsity Blondes fan than Tony Nese and Josh Woods as a pairing, but that's just kind of feel right now. Sheldon Jackson sends in a super chat saying it started tonight with Arn Anderson watching their match. I believe Arn is going to remind Pillman of his father, being a horseman, and he needs to act like it. If they do something like that, they need to do something. They need to do something to bring some sort of interest back to the group, because right now it just feels like they're taking away so much from them, and it doesn't really feel like it's worth it right now to do that, but we'll see. Thank you so much to Sheldon Jackson for sending in the super chat here today. I appreciate that, man. All right, let's go ahead and see what else we got here. And we are going to go ahead and go into. Oh, we did have the Acclaim come out right after this, by the way. And then they go on the mic and basically said that they basically said that they're unstoppable and they're going to come out here and make the show more watchable. There's a line where he tells them, I think the people have had enough, get out of the ring or we're going to stomp you in the nuts. That was funny. That was some good stuff. So every time that Max Caster does his raps, I try my hardest to type as fast as I can and get the entire rap out. And I'll get like the first line and like the second line, but then I won't ever get the entire thing. So he just talks too fast, obviously, because he's rapping. So, I only get brief portions of it, whatever I can. All right. After this, we got Ty Mello and Anna Jay, which they're calling themselves the Ty Jazz, the Ty JAS, something like that, against Madison Rayne and Sky Blue. This was a okay match. This was okay. It was harmless for the most part, but there really wasn't much here. I did like Madison Rayne and Sky Blue teaming up together. It worked out pretty nicely. Sky Blue was pretty impressive. She had some really nice running drop kicks that she did. Those were good. Ty and Anna get the win, but there really wasn't much else. I think here's the thing, given that the way that this match was set up, with Madison Rayne basically putting over Sky Blue, and then Ty and Anna making fun of her and saying she doesn't have a personality, and then Sky Blue saying she was gonna out wrestle or like that. Well, she's learning to have a personality, that they should learn how to wrestle. I think they should have done more to give Sky Blue an opportunity to stand out during this match, especially with the setup of this match. I think they could have done more to give us to make Sky Blue just stand out more. She did a great job, but this wasn't like immediately after the match I was saying like, oh my God, Sky Blue. So I really wish that they would have given that they would have maybe rework this a little bit just to highlight Sky Blue a little bit more, given the way that this match was set up. So, I mean, regardless, the point is here they want to get Ty and Anna some wins since they're part of the Jericho Appreciation Society. But yeah, this was okay. It was harmless though, but nothing too memorable there. Yeah, TJAS. It's a little hard to say. TJAS. And we got people putting over Sky Blue. I really love Sky Blue. She's a sweetheart. She really is. I've gotten to work with her at Mission Pro. And yeah, I'm a fan of hers. I'm really a fan of hers, which is why I wanted to let them see her have more and she's getting there. She's getting there. She's going to be one to keep an eye out on for sure. We got Swerve Strickland backstage, cuts a promo on Billy Gunn since they're having their match in Canada, obviously. And he just basically says his clock is ticking and he's going to finish him, etc. They do announce a tag team match for the AEW Dynamite in Canada debut. And that is going to be Tony Storm teaming up with Hikaru Shida to take on Britt and Jamie. I think this is going to be a really good match. I'm legitimately looking forward to it, like really looking forward to it. And I really hope that they continue the positive stuff that they've been doing since this Wednesday's women's segment was really good. And I hope that they continue that with this match as well and everything else that they do moving forward. But now we got the main event of AEW Rampage, and this was the Death Triangle against Dark Order. And let me tell you something, guys. This was for the trios titles. This was so much fun. Oh my God, I loved this match. This match was so freaking fun. Damn, where do I even begin? I want to put over Reynolds' super kick that he gave to Pentagon. I don't know why. It stood out to me. It was really good. Pac hitting all of his strikes, hitting the German suplex on Reynolds. Reynolds, now that I realize, took a lot of the beating during this match. So bless his heart. Great teamwork with the Death Triangle as always. When John Silver got the hot tag and he went into this match, dude was fired up, and I really love that because he just went after Pac like it was nobody's business, got him with a bunch of kicks, then hit him with the brain buster. Was really good. After this we saw Penta hit a backstabber on Silver. We saw a stunner from Allen. We saw a discus lariat from the Dark Order, and then finally Roosh comes out and he ends up doing the. He comes out and he gives the hammer. There you go, the hammer to Pac, and Pac ends up using that hammer in this match. And finally, we end up seeing Pac win with the brutalizer for his team. So they retained the titles. Cool. But what we didn't know at this point, because we already knew that Pac was going to be having 2 matches, but what we didn't know was that this match was going to happen right afterwards. I thought, okay, maybe this will be the closing of the next hour. Give the guy a break for a second. No. And we also didn't know that this finish was also going to play in to his next match. So with that being said, we're moving on to Battle of the Belts. And let me tell you, Pac versus Trent Beretta for the All-Atlantic Championship was my match of the night. From what I saw today, of all 4 hours of wrestling that I consumed so far for the day, Pac and Trent Beretta freaking killed it. On Wednesday, if you were here on Wednesday, you guys remember I said this is going to be the match. This is going to be the match that you're not going to want to sleep on. This is going to be the match that is going to be the one to really get excited about, right? And it delivered. It definitely freaking delivered. I don't know what to say other than I'm going to call out some of the moments that were really great for this match. Trent had a freaking awesome spear to the outside that he gave to Pac. Really good stuff. He also had a bomb-ass tornado DDT that I really enjoyed. I also want to give credit to Pac because of the way that he bumped for Trent when Trent gave him that clothesline. Dude did like 50 flips after that. We had the table spot off the stage, which was very, very dramatic. Immediately had Pac busted open on his back. Then you're thinking, all right, Pac just wrestled, like a 20-minute match prior. Then it's already been X amount of minutes into this next match. And the guy was, put through a table. And you're thinking, okay, maybe this is wrapping up, right? No. Then he goes to the top rope and he freaking hits the Black Arrow. And I'm just thinking to myself, my God, Pac is not human, okay? Jesus, think about all of the stuff that he had to do and then go out there and then hit the Black Arrow. It was nuts. I'm sorry. It was nuts. We got the half and half avalanche afterwards that followed, and this match was really great. Now, for the finish, I did not love the finish. I did feel just a tad bit robbed, but I know that it goes in line with the story. So because it went with the story, I'm not going to complain, but I did feel a tad bit robbed when Pac essentially used the hammer to cheat and to get the win, right? But I'm not going to let that take away from this match because it was really great. And I'm just going to say this right now. We need to get Trent, I feel like Trent is always consistently having these really good matches, but it's almost like he stays in the same, they keep forgetting to I don't know. It's like he has these good matches, but then they keep forgetting and then he just doesn't move up on the roster. I want to see Trent Beretta continue the string of good matches that he's been having. And I eventually want to see some gold on Trent Beretta. He's somebody that I would love to see as TNT champion. In fact, I'm rooting for it. In fact, I'm really, really hoping for it because I think he needs to be rewarded for some of the great work that he's been doing. And if he keeps going and having these freaking awesome matches, then, even better. Afterwards, we had Orange Cassidy come out, and for a split second, I didn't recognize Orange Cassidy. You know what it was? Not coming out with the glasses and the jacket threw me off, completely threw me off. And because he came out running, I was like, wait, what? Who's this? Oh, shit, Orange Cassidy's back. So Orange Cassidy comes back, and he attacks Pac. Obviously, he's pissed at Pac for using the same cheating tactics with Orange Cassidy. And we saw their last match at Dynamite Grand Slam. And they did announce that we are going to be seeing a rematch between Pac and Orange Cassidy on Dynamite this coming Wednesday. So that's something to look forward to for sure. But honestly, dude, Pac was freaking awesome. Trent Beretta was freaking awesome. This match was freaking awesome. The Cooch97 says always the bridesmaid, but never the bride. Yeah. But you know what, though? Here's the thing. So many people always, people always want to be at the top, right? People want to be at the top. We know this. But sometimes it's the people that are like doing the work and are not getting like the recognition right away, but they are doing the consistent work, right? And the next thing you know, they like blow up. And I feel like that could happen to Trent Beretta. Like if he just keeps going and then the fans keep talking about him the way that they do, because people are putting over, this match, obviously. People are going to react. People are going to see that. People are going to react to that. So I think he's somebody that's just going to creep up on everybody. And all of a sudden it's going to be like, bam, gold. So we'll see. All right. Let's move on from here and see what else we got. All right. We got two more things to talk about really in this show. And before I continue on to finish off Battle of the Bouts, first of all, thank you guys so much for staying up so late with me, especially if you are not on the West Coast, because West Coast here, we're lucky, man. It's still pretty early in the late night. Still early. Regardless, tomorrow is going to be a jam-packed day in the around noon Pacific Standard Time. 3 p.m. Eastern Time. I will be on Fightful to talk about Bound for Glory. I'm going to watch Bound for Glory tonight. As soon as I'm done with this, shower and watch Bound for Glory. And then immediately after that, a couple hours later, it will be time for Extreme Rules, and I will be live on my YouTube channel to do the Extreme Rules watch along. So if you guys want to come hang out and just chill, have a good time, all of that, that's going to be happening on my channel, Extreme Rules. And then afterwards, I will be going live with Sean Ross Sapp on Fightful to do the Extreme Rules post show. So it's going to be back-to-back shows. But now, Willow Nightingale versus Jade Cargill for the TBS Championship. This was Jade's 39th defense, and she's now 39-0. This was a great performance for Willow Nightingale. She's had nothing but bangers so far, which is why she's at the point that she's at right now, and she's rising very fast. A great start for her during this match. There was one moment that didn't work out so well, and that was a tope, but it was not the fault of Willow. It looked like she almost like nosedived, but that was because Kira wasn't in the right spot. So that did look a little dangerous there, but it worked out. She didn't get hurt or anything like that. It was fine. She saved herself, all of that. But it did look a little bit like nerve-wracking just the moments before, right? Afterwards, a lot of great offense for Willow. They gave her so much during this match. It's not often that you see Jade Cargill in these types of situations, because they make sure to keep her looking strong pretty well too. Has a great shotgun drop kick from Willow Nightingale. And then there was unfortunate, and I was not going to mention this, but I am going to mention this because it feels my duty as a reviewer, I guess. There was one comment that was made on commentary, and I don't know how many people caught this, but I wasn't a fan of it. And the reason I say this is because Willow went out there, Jade went out there, and they had a bomb match, okay? And like we said, Willow is on the rise. She's having these great moments. And there's a moment where she takes down her straps because she's getting fired up, and she's taking down her straps, right? And then we have Jim Ross, who says, "Where's Lawler when you need him?" And I'm like, really? Why? And we all know, the puppies and this and that, but it's like, why? Why make it about that when these two women, when these two competitors are having an awesome match, and then to make it about that? I did feel a little bit just like, it's just one of those things where I just thought, man, why? Totally not needed. And I was almost going to tweet it out, but you can't tweet anything these days. So I didn't tweet it out, but it was something that I wanted to talk about on this show, because I want to make a note that, those types of comments suck, especially when they're going out there and kicking ass. And it does take away from the match, and it does take away just a tad bit from the moment. So that was a little bit of a bummer, but whatever. Willow did a phenomenal job. Jade did her part. She did a great job too. And then afterwards, Willow ends up losing. Jade gets the win. Fine, perfectly fine. I was kind of hoping for a title change, but you know what? It's not time yet, and that's perfectly fine too. But afterwards, I started howling. I was dying of laughter during this, because we had we had Vicky Guerrero come out, and she is basically doing her excuse me thing. She distracts Jade Cargill, and that is when we have Nyla Rose come out. And I was dying. I was dying at this because Nyla Rose comes in there. She gets the championship and then she hauls butt and she just runs out. Oh my God, it was so funny. It was mainly funny to me because she just jammed, right? She just had the belt and she jammed. I think it was the camera angle too. I think it was just the entire execution of that really made me laugh, especially because I wasn't expecting it. Like I wasn't expecting Nyla Rose to come out and just steal her belt, right? So that was really funny. I thought, okay, perfectly harmless. So we'll see what we continue on from there. Obviously, you know, we're heading into them doing Nyla and Jade, given that she's going to be pissed that she stole her championship belt. All right. Main event, FTR versus the Gates of Agony, Khan and Toa Leona. First and foremost, the Ass Boys dressed as FTR. Really funny, mainly because I didn't even recognize them. Had commentary not said that those were the Ass Boys, it would have taken me a lot longer to realize that those were the Ass Boys. They said it really fast too, so it's like a couple seconds of me going, oh, those are really passionate fans. Like, they really love FTR. Oh, I'm so happy those fans got dressed up. And then commentary is like, oh, it's the Ass Boys. So that was really funny too. This match was okay. I didn't think it was main event worthy, mainly because it didn't live up it was nowhere near Pac versus Tremperetta. I think Pac versus Tremperetta should have been the main event. Just putting it out there, but it was kind of cool to see Pac go from that, from the main event on Rampage to the opening match on Battle of Belts. That was cool. But in terms of quality, I didn't necessarily think there was too much to write home about with FTR and the Gates of Agony. I thought this was okay for the most part. I mean, we've just seen so much better with FTR and all of that. So I'm trying to point out some good moments. Toa Leona literally eating shit right when he went right into the barricade. That was brutal. Samoan drop from Toa to Dax. That was, you know, cool to see him hyped up and all of that. FTR gets the win. Afterwards, we see Gates of Agony continue the attack on FTR. Then this leads to Brian Cage running out there, helping them out. And then finally, we get Wardlow and Samoa Joe to help out FTR. And this closes out in a brawl. So I like how they're keeping this consistent from what we saw on Dynamite to tonight. So that was fine. But the main event itself was really nothing that I thought was, you know, incredible or anything. We got a super chat here from Steeler Wayne. Thank you so much to Steeler Wayne, who says, Lawler also takes down his straps in his matches. I don't think that was Puppy's reference. That's definitely how it was read. That was 100% how it was read. And yeah, it wasn't needed. It wasn't needed. And also, Lawler isn't the only person who takes down his straps. There's a bunch of people who take down their straps. But thank you so much to Steeler Wayne for also sending in this POV, this point of view. I appreciate it. Thank you to Steeler Wayne. All right, and let's see what else we got here. And let's see. We got people saying Nyla for comedy heel, please. That would actually work really great. Everybody knows that she's great on the like on Twitter and stuff. So that's really awesome too. Also, thank you so much to Champagne Supernova for sending in this very generous comment. I saw it. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for sending this in. All right, guys, there you go. That was SmackDown, Rampage, and Battle of the Belts. I appreciate you guys so much for coming in and staying up late to watch the show. I will be back next week. I'm here on F4W Online 3 times a week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for being here. Until next time, bye everyone.